The streak is over. The last 8 movies I have reviewed, I've given a C plus or a B minus to, just above average. This one, though, breaks through with flying colors. It is a possible Oscar contender, and it's one of my favorites of the year. Let's talk about A Real Pain. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my movie review for A Real Pain. This stars Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin, and it is actually directed by and written by Eisenberg as well. So he's really playing triple duty here with this film. And we'll get to the thoughts on the film and the concept of it and all of that in just a second. First, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're one of my subscribers already, thank you so much for that. Always love having you guys return. But if you're not, please consider subscribing, click that notification bell, or just like this video, comment below, share it on your socials. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel out. And this is a movie that maybe you've not heard of yet. I briefly heard about it because I was intrigued that Jesse Eisenberg was directing it, and I knew he was in it. I knew Kieran Culkin was in it, and that Culkin had been getting some accolades for his performance. But I didn't honestly really know much about it. You know, I don't watch trailers, so I try not to... I try to go into movies fairly blind here. And so the premise of this movie is that it's about a tour group of the Holocaust, led by this guy, James, who is, very knowledgeable dude, played wonderfully by Will Sharp. And he's been in, a few different things over the years, including The White Lotus. That's where he's probably most recognizable from. But you have Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin as David and Benji, respectively. And they are cousins, but they were born 3 weeks apart, so they sort of, identify themselves as more brothers than cousins. But they are American Jewish cousins, and Benji just lost... they both just lost their grandmother recently, and Benji was very, very close with her, and so that was, putting a huge strain on his mental stability. And then for the David character, Jesse Eisenberg, he was a bit more distant, not only from Benji, but from the whole family. He's got a great job in New York City, and he has a wife and, a whole family and everything, and him and Benji have, sort of been... not necessarily estranged, but, they barely see each other. No bad blood necessarily, but, not seeing each other more than a couple times a year or what have you. So the group also includes Jennifer Grey. I haven't seen her in a little while. And so this movie goes through sort of, the tour itself and feelings that may come up during a tour like this, and we get some information about the personal lives of the people involved and all of that, and some characters certainly more fleshed out than others, but at the end of the movie, and this is, not a spoiler, they talk about this at the beginning of the tour, Benji and David want to go to their grandmother's, old house, like where she grew up in Poland. So that is, sort of at the end of the movie, they're going to go away from the group and sort of have this journey all to their own on the last day. So that's the basic premise of the film. And again, that's, not a spoiler. They talk about that right away. Hey, just so everybody knows, we're going to be leaving the tour. So this is not Eisenberg's first director effort. He directed this movie a few years ago with Julianne Moore and Finn Wolfhard, and I forget the name of it. It was called something about... saving the end of the world or something. I forget. I watched it when it came out on Netflix. I never ended up reviewing it for the channel because it was one I caught like so late. I was like, nobody really cares about this review. But I thought it was okay. I probably gave it like in that sort of B minus B kind of a range. But I don't really remember his directing being that monumental or whatever. Here, boy, oh boy, I mean, this could get a cinematography nomination. I mean, the directing here by Eisenberg, you really feel like you are on this tour. I'm probably never gonna make my way there and do a tour like this. And this genuinely makes you feel like you are there. There's a couple of like montages, I guess you could say, just sort of scenery montages of, what the gang was looking at, and all of this, all set to this really beautiful music. The music, I think, plays a fairly integral part in the feeling of this movie. But aside from that, and his really powerful directing, this script is incredible. And I knew he directed it going in, but I didn't know he wrote it until the end credits. But I was thinking that. I was like, I wonder if he also had a hand in that. And yeah, he wrote this whole movie, and it is a banger. I gotta say. I mean, let's talk about just the title, okay? A Real Pain. It's got a triple meaning because the Benji character is hard to deal with at times. He is loud and obnoxious, but also reserved in other ways, and he can sort of change on a dime. They don't necessarily discuss, if he's bipolar or whatever, but they do kind of talk about when, in one scene when he's in the bathroom, they talk about, or David kind of, reveals to everybody, what some of the things Benji's been going through and whatever. And, gives us sort of a deeper meaning into that character. But, a real pain could be the fact that, he has to keep apologizing for Benji. Oh, you're a real pain in the butt to travel with. You're a real pain in the butt in public. You're a little embarrassing, whatever. But obviously, you've got the pain of the actual Holocaust, a real pain that these people went through, and lost their lives and their families and all of that. So it could be referring to that, but it obviously is also referring to the pain inside Benji, and as we learned, David too. So it could be the internal pain that they're feeling. So, I mean, just the title is like, oh my God, there's so many meanings here. So that was great, but these characters are so well written. Kieran Culkin is also one of the people or things that might be nominated from this film. He's getting a lot of buzz, and he could be a supporting actor nominee at the Oscars, and it would be well deserved. He's incredible here. Now, look, I don't watch Succession. I know he was great in that. He got a lot of accolades there. So I've only seen really more his like minor stuff, including when he hosted SNL and stuff like that. But I've always liked Kieran Culkin, whole Culkin family, very likable. Not the parents, but, Macaulay and everything. But he embodies this character and does it so well, because in the first, maybe half of the movie, or at least the first third of the movie, you're like, what is this guy's deal? Like, we get it. He lost his grandmother. She was very close to him, but he just is coming off like a jerk, and poor David has to keep apologizing. But then as the story goes on, and the way the characters are so layered and so well written, you really get a sense of who these characters are and what their struggles are, and why both of them, both David and Benji, are the way that they are. It's an incredible performance, bolstered though by a great script. I haven't really heard much about, this being up for potential writing nominations, but I don't know. I mean, for me, it's easily one of the most well-written films of the year for sure. And this is being talked about as a possible Best Picture contender as well, and I can definitely see that. It's easily in my top 3 probably of the year that I've seen so far. Definitely top 5, but I would say top 3, definitely. So the only reason I'm not giving this an A+, because obviously I've just doing nothing but raving on it so far. And my buddy Tim, who sometimes comes on the channel with me, we were talking about this yesterday, because I knew he had seen it and also graded it very highly. But I think the ending, and he agreed with this, the ending just sort of left a little bit to be desired. And I don't want to necessarily talk about what happens or whatever, but I'm not positive that that's where I really wanted the story to go. I'm not sure if I was completely satisfied with just the last scene or two maybe. So that's definitely an issue. But boy, oh boy, I mean, this is a tight 90-minute movie. You could not have packed more of a great story, great characters, great dialogue. And again, you feel like you're on this tour with these people. It is a real achievement. I hope to see it with some nominations at the Oscars. It's probably my number 2 movie of the year so far. I leave A Real Pain with an A. definitely one that we hope we will be hearing more about come award season. All right, thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It, and I'll see you next time.